Okay, part 2 of this guy. So, I got my new tank on her. Looks pretty good. For a 20-year-old tank that was taken off another bike. It doesn't look too bad. There's a couple dings in it, but pretty happy with the paint on here. It's actually got some nice white pearl to it, which I really didn't think Honda did that, but that's good. So we got her up on the finest stand Princess Auto had to offer until I get a Woodcraft one in here. I'm gonna do chain and sprockets first and sort out the back end of this bike. I got the old subframe just put on there. It's pretty bent as fuck, but it's just holding some wiring so I could fire it up and give everything a test, which turned out all right. So I'm gonna pull this back tire off and get these sprockets changed out. Okay, got this guy pulled off here. Actually, the front sprocket was next to brand new, so I'll just be putting that guy back on there. But I did pull it off just so I get that all cleaned up and get all that chain lube out of there. Chain as well is brand new. It's weird that this guy had a rear sprocket that was just about starting to chip teeth. So the bike itself was pretty well maintained for what the guy was doing with it. Like, tires are new, half the sprockets are new. So maybe it was a used one he threw on when he changed the gearing. But either way, gonna get it cleaned up and throw it back together. Did have a look inside at that cush drive. Everything's looking good. So I'm just gonna throw that new sprocket on there and get it put back together. Okay, new rear sprockets on. Unfortunately, I didn't pay too much attention to what gearing was on the bike. I just knew it was quite out. Unfortunately, just going back to stock gearing, 1646. You have a 54 tooth in the rear, and that takes your sprocket size down quite a bit. So I'm gonna have to take a couple links out of this chain before I tighten it up. But she'll be good. This chain's next to new, so definitely want to make it work. So get going on doing that. Okay, next update. Looks like a lot has happened. A little bit has. So ended up finding a set of complete clip-ons, which is good. Just gonna go in here and replace this one switch I've got off the other set. I'm gonna change the levers as well for some CRGs. Put my new lock in here, did some tank cleaning, got that all looking nice. Got a new subframe on here that's not bent, so starting to look like a bike again. Starting to look straight. So there we go. Keep on going with this guy. And just threw this seat and tail section on here. Just like to check my gaps with your panels and everything, especially OEM panels. It's gonna tell you real quick if something's bent. So this tail, I did take all the stickers off it. Unfortunately, the guy had cut in here just for another crash bar, which that's fine, it did its job. Seat's sitting nice, everything looks like it's gonna go back together well. So fortunately, a guy is gonna come get these fairings from me. They did clean up pretty good, so he's gonna help contribute to the build and contribute to his. You can clean these guys up. Actually, they're not even in terrible shape once you get all the goop off there, and the crash bar is not even bent. So yeah, hopefully that can help him out on his bike, and it helps me out on mine because it gets out of the garage. So here we go. Okay, a couple hours later again, and just mocking some stuff up. All this, when you get a bike in a box, is you put it apart. You put together about 2 or 3 times just to make sure everything's there. And so I got the subframe all put together there. Relays are on it. Up underneath, got all my wiring ran. Got my seat mount on. Checked the tank. I have to get a little creative. UPS did me a solid by damaging the mount at the top of the tank when they shipped it. So I have to move that guy around to get it sit nice. But I'll heat that up with a heat gun and get some persuasion without hopefully wrecking all the paint. So there we got the voltage regulator. Gonna need some more zip ties there. And my lovely wiring job up underneath there for the seat, for the battery. So there we go. It's getting pretty late. I think I'm gonna call it a night on that one. Yeah, so we're out here for the next night. Start working on getting this triple tree replaced. So got my new ignition cylinder put in there. It's not too bad for 30 bucks. It'll do the trick. So got that guy Loctite and torqued in there. I'm gonna swing this guy around to put on the lift backwards so I can lift it and start pulling the front suspension and the triple tree off it. Okay, so that didn't work out too bad. Got her spun around on the lift and just got the back tire in the wheel chuck. It's a really cheap wheel chuck on this lift, but it does do the job at least to hold the bike. So it's about as big a tire though as you can stick into that chock. And then just went up enough so I got just the front tire off the ground so I can pull everything off without any weight. Would be nice to just stick headstand under the front of it, but when you gotta pull the triple tree off, that doesn't work. So just went careful. Wanted to see if the exhaust was gonna crush up. Obviously I'd have stopped at that point. No, it's got a nice strong mount on there. It's not really optimal to lift on these bikes either with the shape of the sump. And you can see how far that oil drain pan sticks down. You gotta come at it at kind of a crisscross angle if you're gonna do it that way. So actually keeping the pipe on it isn't too bad. Yeah. So I'm gonna start tearing the front end of this off. Okay, forks are off. Came out pretty decent. Just gonna pull this top plate off. I'm gonna change this bearing in here. Really, anytime there's a bike that's been laid down, I do like to do it just because you can have micro cracks in there that you won't see until you pull it apart. So as well, it does feel a little bit notchy, but nothing appears to be bent. All the paint around the headstock looks good, so I'm not really concerned with that. Got the forks off and was hoping they weren't bent. And they look really good actually. Straight, and chrome actually looks really good. Nothing, a little bit of polish won't take out. Honda actually marks their forks left and right, so I don't gotta do that, so that's nice. I'm gonna change out this head bearing and start pulling the forks apart and rebuild those as well. Okay, so tough to say what exactly size this nut is. Nice thing about working on lots of heavy equipment is 1 3/16 out of my Bud wheel set for doing semis. There she is. So neck that down to a 1/2 inch drive and pull that guy off there. Well, ain't that a pretty setup? All right, let's go ahead and see if she'll do it. Oh yeah, like nothing. I beat that top plate off with some persuasion. And I'm gonna make myself a little tool here to get this nut off the top of the clamp and get that pulled out the bottom. And just as I was resisting the urge and losing, and whether I was gonna take a punch to this and start giving it the old manual persuasion, I remembered I have a bunch of coilover tools, so this guy should work all right for this. Drop her on there, and there she goes. All right, work at that guy to get it off there. Okay, so this is something I've never seen before on one of these. Not sure how much you guys can see there. That whole top yoke is bent backwards. I'm not 100% sure how he managed to put that much force slamming forwards into the handlebars to get that to do that. But I guess I'm ordering a new triple clamp. Not just the top piece, but the bottom as well. Luckily those are easy to come by, but yeah, I'm gonna keep trying to get this guy off here and make sure nothing else is bent. Okay, probably after about 5 minutes of fighting, got the nut off, surprisingly. Check the bearing over. Looks good, still gonna change it anyways, but surprising. So I'm gonna take a wander over here and we'll hold this guy up to a straight edge. And you can see just how bent it is. It's a little bit straight. So there you go. It's a fucking pretzel. So I'm gonna get one of those new ones ordered, and yeah, we'll go from there. I guess I'll start on some forks and see where we get. So got one of the forks apart here. At least everything is there and everything's straight. I will make it no secret, working on forks is probably my least favorite thing to do on a bike. It seems like you always get into them. Guys have been messing around with them. They pull shims out, spacers, washers are gone. Always seems like a nightmare. Even this one, somebody's been in here doing something that they had no idea what they were doing. So everything in the fork was loose, damper rod was loose. This bike must have rode like shit for however long, because they probably had no oil control and no rebound at all. So anyways,